that changed everything, because what was dropping? The British and the French and everybody else. Malaria, all sorts of diseases that the quinine changed. And then, of course, the Maxim gun. Go ahead. So, high imperialism is characterized by this massive military superiority. Who are they literally fighting? What did we just talk about Japanese? The last samurai. The samurai are fighting who? The other Japanese that are now part of this new military that have guns, and even worse, Gatling guns with the Maxim guns, and it was just disaster. Same thing's going to happen in Africa. Why? If you don't know it, you have to know. In 1870, 10% of Africa has been taken over. 10. By 1900, 90%. 90%. That's because people are fighting. Who? People with, not themselves. The British or the French are coming in with beautiful, amazing weapons. This picture of me over there beside Mia by the Go Bucks thing, one of my students drew that my first year of teaching, and it was based off of the movie Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. Isn't it good? Isn't it nice? Like the picture. What are you looking up for? It's straight across from your face.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's literally right in front of your face. I love seniors. So anyway, that picture was me my first year of teaching when Indiana Jones Temple of Doom came out. And so I was teaching English at the time. And so some kid in the back was like drawing in their notebook. And I was like, Alex, what is that? What are you doing? Put that away, Alex. It's like, oh my God, is it me? Are you drawing me? Is that me? Yes. Keep going. Don't bother listening to me. I'm probably not saying anything important anyway. Keep drawing. And he drew that. Isn't that cool? And it says tee-hee-hee because I used to go like this because it was my first year of teaching. I used to go like this. Tee-hee-hee! It's payday! What up? Because I didn't have a paycheck in college and I was so excited. Do you know how much my paycheck was? $500 every 2 weeks. How many of you make that? That was my paycheck my first year of teaching. So, anyway, this was Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. Has anybody seen this movie?
Yes.
Right? So famously, whoever the main guy is, I forget what the main guy's name is, but he is like in Egypt or something like that. Do you know? Have you seen it?
Indiana Jones.
I will smack the shit. The actor! I'm asking about the actor. Harrison Ford. Note to self, get a new job. Indiana Jones is in Egypt, and all of a sudden some guy comes up, and he's over there, and he's like got swords and everything, and he's like, whoa, just whoa, like this, and he goes like this, whoa, to fight Indiana Jones. And Indiana Jones famously goes like this. And drops the guy that what? Can massively slaughter him, destroy him, kill him. But because he had a gun, bye. Okay, that's pretty and all, but bye. And then it turns out, do you know why he did that in the movie? He was sick that day. He was sick that day and he was supposed to fight the guy. In the script, he was supposed to fight the guy, and he's like, I am not. I'm not. And then it turns out it's one of the most famous parts of the movie. That is exactly social Darwinism. This big, huge, strong. It's Alex, but he's not. He's not. This big, huge, strong person would theoretically have destroyed Indiana Jones, but instead, social Darwinism. Go ahead. Europeans used imperialism, domination of one nation by another nation, as a reason to carve up Africa and Eastern Asia. You have to know that that's called the scramble for Africa, and we literally carve up all of Africa. This is absolutely on every single test that you're going to take. Clearly, you have to know about scramble for Africa in my class. You have to know about the rise of Japan in my class. There's certain things, you guys, again, there's certain things in this class that you have to know more significantly than others. Tell me about the history of Africa in our class. What is it like when we first get to Africa in this class? Mansa Musa Mali Muslim? Come on, get up there. There we go. Mansa Musa Mali Muslim Gold. It is a great, thriving, beautiful, phenomenal place raises inflation all across because what's he doing on Mecca? Gold, 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 gold all over the place. So we have Ghana, Mali, Songhai, who are strong, and then what happens? The Atlantic slave trade. The next thing we have to know about Africa is the Atlantic slave trade. Can you touch the armpit of Africa? All of that, no, too far. Just the armpit. Yep, that west coast right there is where most of the slaves are taken from in the transatlantic slave trade. Do you hear me? When does Brazil stop the transatlantic slave trade? This is critical. 1888. Put it down if you don't know. 1888. 1888. When's the scramble for Africa? When's the Berlin Conference? 84 and 85. 84 and 85. Finally, the last major country ends the slave trade and theoretically slavery. So what do we do then? Now we go to Africa. And by 1900, 90% of Africa is colonized. And we rape, rob, and pillage all of the natural resources of Africa. And who's having to pillage and dig and take out the natural resources of Africa? Africans. People with guns stand over pits and mines and make African people now be enslaved in their own lands while they are pillaging their own lands. And who gets it?
Europeans.
Who?
The Europeans.
The Europeans. How do they get all of that stuff in and out of there? Deep into the interior. How do they get all that? Who's talking? Trains. 1840 to 1860. If you do not know, you've got to also not talk about just the steam engine when it comes to factories. That's huge. That's critical. We talked about, and you should have that written down somewhere, the Bessemer steel making process. Why do we have to care about Bessemer? If you're writing about the second industrial revolution, why do we have to care about Bessemer?
Because you made it to where you can make steel quicker.
Right, we made steel in like basically what was like a trash can outside in the hallway. Now what? Like big freaking dump trucks or cement trucks. Huge, huge, huge vats for steel making process. And the second industrial revolution is all about steel. And everybody started using the Bessemer steel making process. So we have train tracks being put in all over the earth from 1840 to 1860. When was the rocket? Do you remember? The rocket. George Stephenson's train. 1830. 1829, the rocket, the steam train was invented in 1829. And by 1840 to 1860, people are putting transatlantic, transcontinental, not transatlantic, that's stupid. That's an ocean. Transcontinental railroads. We do it by 1869. The United States of America does it by 1869. Trans-Siberian Railroad is what the Russians are going to use when they try to go fight against the Japanese in 1904. So trains are crisscrossing the earth. What's unique about the ones in Africa?
They go straight down.
They go straight in, not down.
Well, straight in and out.
In. And it's literally called the Dark Continent. Double entendre intended. Double entendre, two meanings. The Dark Continent, because the deeper that these steamboats, can you hear me please? Steamboats went in the rivers and the steam trains went into the interior. It was as if they're going back in. Did you read The Heart of Darkness?
Yes.
Yeah. It's as if you're going back into 10,000 years ago. What does that mean? In The Heart of Darkness, do you remember? Do you remember what they said it was like going on these steam trains? I mean, steamboats?
But it's basically like every step that you took along the journey, you just went farther back in history.
It's like you were going back in time. In The Heart of Darkness, he's talking about going further back in time. And then also the Dark Continent, because they're referring to whom? The black people. The black people. Scientific racism says what about black people? They're inferior, and they should be dominated because we are smarter and we are more capable. So we should take them over. We're going to talk about the British poem. We'll get to that in a second by Rudyard Kipling. So you have to know that trains are massively critical on the earth. From what years to what years do they start making these all over the earth? 1840 to 1860. Because we are now making steel. And so we can make steam trains. We can make the train tracks. In fact, We, by 1900, have made 5 transcontinental railroads all the way across. By 1900, we in the U.S. have made 5 transcontinental railroads. So they go up like crazy because they are very, very significant and very helpful for imperialism. Taking goods, taking over. Have we got it? Okay, go ahead. Imperial power seized colonies through direct control, established protectorates who had some self-rule. Protectorates, they had advisors who had a lot of debt and had to be advised. Could I have a tissue? Who had to be advised? Do you remember?
The leaders that were in Portugal.
Who?
The leaders.
The Ottomans. Do you remember that Muhammad Ali got in massive debt? And then he had to get loans from the British, and so then what? He's entirely having to do whatever they tell him to do. Why did the British want Egypt? This is the EBD. Why do the British need Egypt? You guys, things that fundamentally change the earth are on the AP exam, and you should be using as EBD. Why does the Suez Canal fundamentally change everything?
Because the British
We get to the crown jewel of the British Empire easier and continue to rape, rob, and pillage. Once the British and everybody else, all the European powers, start making trains, it is like hyperdrive that we're what? Going in and carting out, what are they called? Cash crops. What was it in the Congo where they cut people's arms off? Rubber, right? Everywhere. What is it in all of Latin America that the U.S. is the bully of the North? Sugar, but more importantly, the United Fruit Company and any types of fruit. Whatever the fruit, whatever the specific thing. In Hawaii, it was pineapples / sugar. All right, go ahead. Oh, wait, I didn't say that last part. Or used economic control in spheres of influence. Whose spheres of influence, place? Why? Why didn't we just take them over? Why don't we have the scramble for China? We almost did. They have too many people. They have too many people. So we economically, spheres of influence equals economic power. We economically take them over. Go ahead. Britain, after losing their American colonies, what? Focused on Southeast Asia. South Asia. What's South Asia, guys? India. Africa and Oceania. What's Oceania? Australia and New Zealand. And became the most powerful empire in history. What are they called? The empire where the sun never sets, or the Victorian age. Why is it the Victorian age? Queen Victoria. Do you have the dates? 1837 and 1901. You should be able to say them like that. Again, things that are massive in history. One, they're going to be EBD for you. That's why I tell you all the time, like, you really should have a couple pages at the back where you put EBD things. EBD things are the creation of trains, the creation of the steam engine, the British Empire, things that changed the earth forever. How important was the Meiji Restoration? Considering that Japan takes over all of Asia for the next 70 years, 80 years, it's massively important. How important was that the self-strengthening movement sucked? Why? Because China could have been like Japan, and instead, they become completely weak. That we even send money to Empress Sushi. That's CIXI, if you want to put it down. Dowager Empress Sushi. And what's she do with the money? Makes a marble boat. She makes a marble boat. Instead of trying to help her